I have a collection of pressed glassware and I'm going to give some of it a facelift. So here is my bowl, nice and clean. It is just pressed glass, it is not cut glass, and you can pick these pieces up in the thrift store. And I'm going to use a napkin like this, such a pretty napkin, and I just need the top layer. Most napkins have 3 plies, this one does, and so you very carefully remove the printed layer from the other 2. So what I'm going to use now is some Artist's Gloss Gel Medium. You can use any glue that you've got, any Mod Podge, anything like that. I just really like to use this. I've got a very soft paintbrush and I'm going to apply it all over the base of this dish. Taking my napkin with the pattern side down, going to place it over the top and very carefully pat it down. I'm going to use the paintbrush as well because there's obviously all sorts of little nooks and crannies with these patterns on the dish. I'm going to lift it up there and just go all around, painting the gel on, or glue. You could even use school glue. It goes on white, but it does dry clear, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you use this white, it's actually quite useful because you can see where you've been. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it down. It actually fits quite well, this napkin on here. Now obviously I'm putting a square napkin on a round surface, so we are going to get a few folds, but that's fine because when it's on you won't be able to see those. Okay, and now I'm going to leave this to dry. This is dry now, and any excess pieces on the top you just pull off, and you can use a little bit of sandpaper just to get rid of those final bits. And if you've got any missing parts where maybe the tissue broke or made holes, you can fill those in now. I'm going to decorate the outside, and to do that I'm going to use some gold leaf. You buy these in sheets, so I'm going to use the same gel that I used before, and using a soft brush. You could use a makeup brush, that works really well, a little soft blusher brush, and just pat it down. Okay, so I will leave this just to set up a little bit, and then when I know it's completely dry I can come back in and brush away all the extra bits which I keep. I put them in a box and then mix them in with other different metals. And then I will also be able to see bits that I've missed and come back and show you how it looks. So now all my gold leaf is dry and it's all stuck on, and I went all around it with my soft brush and I've brushed away any of the extra bits. And I have also put gold around the rim of the dish as well, simply of course by putting some of the gel on. And in this box I have all my little bits that I've saved from other previous projects that I've worked on. So I've got silver, copper and gold in here, and I'm just going to pick up some of the gold and pat it on the top. That's why it's always worth saving any little bits that you brush off. Okay, and I'll leave that to dry. Now it's actually really nice when you put the gold leaf behind it. It really does make the paper glow. Now that my bowl is nearly finished, I'm giving it a couple of coats of this water-based top coat in gloss. This is going to give it some protection in case it comes into contact with any water, which obviously it will do if you want to give it a quick wash. It will make it water resistant, it won't make it waterproof. And here are my finished bowls. I'm using the large one for floating candles. I've put some water in it, and these are just tea lights that I took the metal casing off, and they work really well as floating candles. It looks so pretty through the water. The paper is just glowing. And here is my other dish. I love this napkin, and I will use this all the time now. I'm not going to hide these away in the cupboard anymore. I got these napkins online at Ninny's Napkins, and I really hope you've enjoyed this episode and I have inspired you to have a go. I'm Julie McDowell. I'll see you next time. Okay, here is my piece of glass, and what we're going to do is decorate the underneath side of the glass so that we can still use the top of the table. It's actually a very old art called verre églamisé, and they used to use 24 karat gold leaf, but today we're not going to do that. We're going to use paint. But before you start, you have to clean the glass very well. So what I've done is I've washed both sides with a very, very hot soapy solution, rinsed off, dried, and then using a vinegar and water solution, I have gone over both sides to get rid of any grease that might be on there. I'm also wearing gloves so that I don't leave any fingerprints. Now, it's important that you have your glass facing up to you is the underneath side. My piece of glass has a beveled edge on the top side, so I always know which way this should go. I am going to be using a stencil, and I'm also going to be using two metallic paints. One is gold and the other one is copper. You can use any paint you like for this. You can use artist acrylic paint if you want. Really, the choice is yours, but I'm using these metallic paints. And here is the stencil that I'm going to put on the back of this glass. Now, before I do anything, as I said, you have got to think in reverse. You've got to turn your brain around. So I want to be able to see little, like, fly spots on this glass. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm dipping in a very cheap chip brush into my copper paint and then into my gold paint. So I'm mixing the two, and using my finger, I'm going to run it across the bristles, and that will distribute tiny little dots of paint all over the surface. Okay, my fly spots are dry, and I have positioned my stencil, which fits actually perfectly on here, and I've taped it down so it doesn't move. I've got two stencil brushes, one for each colour, and I'm now going to start with the copper, offloading my brush so that it doesn't seep underneath. And then, in no particular order, I'm going to just go through and stencil through all the openings. I will now switch to gold, offload my brush. We will be covering some of the fly spots, and that's fine. You can mix the two colours on the plate, on the glass. Okay, I think I have covered the whole stencil there, and now I have to leave that to dry. And once it's dry, I will lift the glass and look at it from the other side and decide whether I need to go over it again with another pass. This is now dry. This is my painting side. It's all dry. I'm happy with how it looks. So I'm taking this time a large stenciling brush. You can use any large brush that you've got, but we are going to be doing a pouncing motion like this, so you do need something that's quite flat. You can use any size stenciling brush, just the larger the quicker. And I'm using black paint. This is General Finishes Lamp Black Milk Paint. Again, you can use any paint that you like. So I'm going to load up my brush and go all over the stencil. And I'm not offloading this time because I want to be very, very generous with the paint. It will take 2 coats. I did 2 coats of black over the back, and so now we're ready for the big reveal. And here is the finished table. If I go in close, you can see the fly spots that I did first and the 2 colours of metallic paint. and of course the black background.